With 2 dead and 1 clinging to life, Ziz and her associates scattered across the country. But before police could finally close in, 3 more would wind up dead. Behind bars, 1 member broke their silence, claiming it was all part of a vast conspiracy. This week's episode is The Zizians, Part 3. Sinisterhood. We've come to our conclusion. Maybe.
In more ways than one.
I'll say our conclusion as of now, because this is like where the case stands today.
True.
It's updating.
We have a trial
2
coming
trials.
up in October. So,
man. They're going to be all over the news, I think.
Yeah.
More.
It's a kind of a polarizing cult in many ways, and people love a spectacle, if it's televised especially. You know, they all have a particular look about them.
Yeah, I think because when they were all captured at various times, they've been like living in box trucks and there was some sort of surgical equipment involved with the brain experiments and stuff. So it was a mad scientist look
Very
about them all.
dark.
Yeah.
Everyone looks like they're from the dark side.
They're
in the Star Wars universe.
Well, when your buddy is like, we got to don the dark robes and follow Vader, I mean, that's what you're going to look like. But, we might don some robes of our own. I don't know. TBD, depending. We have a show coming up October 4th.
Yes, October 4th, Texas Theater. Season of the Witch is what we are calling this show. So everything you love about the show, if you've seen our live shows, they're different than our in-studio shows. We have audience games and participation. We kind of cover a litany of things around the subject. So witch cryptids, not witch cryptids.
Like WHITCH.
Yeah, WITCH cryptids. Just witchy stuff. You know, I'm sure there'll be some Salem stuff in there. There'll be some modern witch stuff, all sorts of fun stuff.
We cannot wait to share it with you live October 4th at the Texas Theater. Go to sinisterhood.com/live shows. You find info on that. We will hopefully have a streaming option. We're going to figure out all the logistics and give you that once we have it. But join us in person in Dallas, October 4th. And on that same page, you'll notice tickets to Crime Wave at Sea. So we have a land show and 1 month later, a sea show.
We have 1 by land and 1 by sea.
And then in December, we'll have a space show. Someone will take us in a spacecraft. Did you see Mariah Carey's, by the way, Mariah Carey's response to Katy Perry going to space? You know, Mariah doesn't really get on the internet. So it was a recent interview and, she's got her sunglasses and she's kind of sitting there and a guy's like, so did you hear Katy Perry went to space? And she's like, what? Like actual space? And the guy has to explain yes. And she's like, oh, wow. Okay. And the guy goes, do you think you should go to space? And she goes, I think I've done enough.
Oh, diva. She will never not be
Carey.
One of the all-time best divas.
The moment. Just someone goes, she needs to give classes on how to shade people within etiquette somehow.
Yes.
How is that at once polite, but also gutting?
Also, there's no way she doesn't know Katy Perry went to space. So just to be she did? It's such also salt in the wound because you're like, Mariah Carey doesn't know what I've been up to?
Honestly, I think Renee Rapp did a similar thing on Call Her Daddy recently, being like, they go, Joe Rogan. She's like, I'm sorry, Joe, what was his name? Rogan? Rogaine? Did you say?
Joe Rogaine?
Joe Rogaine. He invented Rogaine.
Oh, well, he's bald though.
You know what? He got the formula right after it would have worked for him.
Oh.
He discovered it just a moment too late.
Dang. But he was so generous that he decided to sell it to the masses, but he wasn't going to use it himself.
People love him. They love themselves some Rogaine. Helps them feel like they're growing, truly. But
I have a feeling you're not. You're actually stunting your growth.
Well, if y'all haven't heard, he just enthusiastically endorsed our podcast in the Dead Internet Theory episode. So go back and check that when Joe Rogan said how much he loved our show.
That's true. I forgot that we got a very exclusive interview with him where he endorsed us.
Yeah, he also is a really big enthusiast for education. I'll let you figure out educating in what, you may ask. You'll find it. Go to the Dead Internet episode.
Which is more relevant than ever these days.
Yeah, especially with this. And our buddy Yudkowsky that wrote the Harry Potter fanfic that all kicked this off. I just saw he's about to start promoting a book that is going to come out in September of this year. Not at all an alarmist title. I believe it's called like It's All Gonna Kill Us Right Now by Alexander Yukowski. So it's basically about AGI or super intelligence that like if they build it, it will kill us or something.
It's not about Voldemort? Are you sure?
Hang on a minute. Well,
when he starts referring to AI as he who shall not be named, then we really got some problems.
At some point, I'm like, y'all, just go get a job at the Wizarding World because you want to wear a cape and pretend. Just go live in it, man. That's all.
Do it. Yeah. Go get a job at like Universal Studios or something.
Star Wars Land. That'd be it's a dream, man.
Yeah, there's a whole land now that they can go to.
Whoever plays Rey at the LA Star Wars Land, you really made my day on our honeymoon when Rey I was like, she waved at me. Like you could be making people happy, but instead you've chosen this life.
Rey, you made Heather's day. So
At
good
least.
for you.
Oh, well, I feel like with this case, it's almost like where were we? We're in part 2. And I guess everybody was scattering across the country.
Yeah. Doing all sorts of horrible things. And it doesn't slow down.
Nope. Buckle up, y'all.
Yeah. Well, I'm Christy.
I'm Heather.
And let's get into it. On January 14th, 2025, Youngblood and Bachholt checked into a hotel in Lyndonville, Vermont, dressed in black tactical gear and openly carrying a firearm. A hotel clerk found their behavior suspicious and alerted authorities. Investigators began watching the pair. Soon, authorities observed Youngblood and Bachholt frequently wearing
all black tactical style clothing,
walking through downtown Newport, according to charging documents.
Not a good way to be in a homebrewed witness protection program that you come dressed like you're about to commit a mass shooting and checking in the La Quinta or whatever.
I mean, I love an all black fit and frequently wear them. I don't carry a firearm at the same time and check into hotels.
You're not wearing the tactical vest. It might be a blacktical vest. It's just a black vest.
It's a blacktical vest.
Yeah, it's not a tactical vest, but pretty high profile. Like if you're trying to, because this is Youngblood had went from Washington State, signed up for the marriage license to North Carolina with Bachholt, and then both Bachholt and Youngblood have told the guy in North Carolina, hey, we might want a longer lease. Like in December of 2024, like 2 weeks later, they're in Vermont dressed like commandos trying to check into a hotel, like a small hotel.
Yeah. Even if people didn't know who they were from the news, anyone walking in tactical gear carrying a firearm, unless you show identification that you're the SWAT team there to do something, would alert authorities for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. In Vermont, are they going up there to meet with Jamie Zajko? I mean, they clearly know each other, have been in contact, but makes you wonder.
Yeah. The next day, across the country in Vallejo, California, 82-year-old Curtis Lind was standing outside the property where he had been attacked over 2 years prior. Lind was scheduled to testify a few months later against Surrey Dow and Alexander Leatham, the two individuals charged in a 2022 sword attack against him and the related death of their accomplice, Emma Borhanian. As Lind stood on the sidewalk in the 300 block of Lemon Street, where trailers and other equipment were packed into a yard behind a locked gate, an assailant wearing a black beanie and a mask approached and stabbed Lind in the neck before fleeing. Lind died of his injuries. Man, oh man, oh man, to have survived what is one of the worst attacks I've read about where someone did survive.
Absolutely.
And then this is how it all ends, man.
Right. And it's not even like that you were, in some sort of dispute with these people.
Yeah.
It's like you just assume, okay, well, the people, they're my former tenants. They've been arrested. Like, although not all of them had been arrested, whenever the police came, they had all scattered and, left Lind with his neighbor, like bleeding out. But it wasn't just Surrey Dow and Leatham, like on property at the time. Ziz ran off, Gwen Danielson ran off, some other people ran off. So even though they're in jail, there's still that element of danger.
Yeah. It's such a bummer too, especially because at that point, all it is a revenge killing. Just to, who was he going to hurt? All of the people involved, for the most part, are in jail. So it's just Somebody was like, we're going to finish the job with an 82-year-old man. Come on.
It's sick, man. And the cops are like, I think we know what this is related to.
Yeah. According to court papers filed just one day before the attack, the Solano County prosecutor emphasized Lynn's importance, stating,
Mr. Lind is the only eyewitness to this case, and his testimony is critical for the people to have the ability to prove their case. These defendants are extremely dangerous. They've both tried to escape from custody.
The trial had been set to begin in April of 2025. Thomas Young, a longtime friend of Lynn's, later told Open Vallejo that the 2022 attack had permanently changed his friend's life. Lynn had moved away to San Mateo, made plans to sell the Vallejo property, and had begun carrying a firearm out of fear. Young explained,
he was generally afraid that they were going to track him down and kill him. He was generally scared, for good reason, obviously.
Yeah.
And especially for it to come one day after the prosecutor made a public announcement saying, well, if we didn't have this witness, we wouldn't be able to convict the people we have in jail. Well, then you don't have that witness anymore.
And then did no one think to put a cop outside his home and watch him for a few days?
It is surprising to me that there was like zero surveillance or concern. I don't know about maybe because he had moved to San Mateo and he was just coming back to visit the Vallejo property. But still, man, I mean, there's nothing on Curtis Lynn. He should have been able to like freely move about the state as much as he wanted. But it is rough that there was not more surveillance or protection.
So sad. And so sad, too, because it all stemmed from him trying to help these people and just like let them live on their land, and
fairly too. Like, it's his land. You're allowed to charge rent. You have taxes to pay. And that's it. At no point did it say like he was trying to charge him $50,000 a month. It was like, however, $1,000 a month, whatever. So it was not an incident of, these were crusaders standing up to this monstrous landlord. It was like a nice old man trying to do some favors for some folks.
No, they're cowards.
Yeah. Sinisterhood will be right back.
Bad habits can lead to bad outcomes, but it doesn't have to be that way. That's where Fume comes in.
Fume is a flavored air device, not a vape and definitely not a pipe, that gives you a fresh way to take control of your habits. With flavors like crisp mint, peach blush, and cinnamon hearts, it's the smarter, guilt-free alternative. Fume fills the void ditching a bad habit can leave. It uses no batteries, no nicotine, no vapor, so you can use it anywhere. And using the Fume is easy. It's fun. It's like right in your hand. It clicks. It tastes good when you use it.
All the flavors are great. Get a variety pack. You can try them all out. I like how they're kind of different based on seasons. Like a white cranberry to me is kind of wintry, but then cinnamon hearts is very good for like Valentine's Day, and peach blush is a great summer or springtime one.
Exactly. It feels good. It tastes good when you're doing it, and you can literally do it anywhere. You're not going to get in trouble for using it wherever you want to.
Yeah. Fume has already helped over 400,000 people take steps toward better habits, and now it's your turn. Use our code CREEPY to get a free gift with your Journey Pack. That's the variety pack. You got to get it.
Head to tryfume.com. That's tryfum.com. Use code CREEPY to claim this limited time offer today. Sinisterhood will be right back.
The attack drew a rapid response from law enforcement. 3 investigators from the district attorney's office, including the chief investigator, arrived on the scene, an unusual presence for what would typically be a routine homicide investigation. They were joined by 4 detectives from Vallejo Police. No one was immediately apprehended for the murder.
I think the assailant just walked up, stabbed him, and kept going. And just was, disguised down enough with the beanie and the mask that it's, just eyes.
And must have caught him either from behind, or he didn't have enough time to get to his firearm or, defend himself. He had to have been lying in wait or following Curtis to know that he was back at that property in the first place.
For sure. And especially because Kurt had lost his use of his right eye.
True.
Maybe he snuck up on him on the right side. And it's like, whoever it is, he's suffered these injuries. Like, these are his weaknesses. It's like been publicized.
So sad. A GoFundMe page created by Lynn's family described him as Kurt, a beloved father of 2 and grandfather of 4. They remembered him as a resilient, generous soul who loved the ocean and whose first instinct was always to help anyone in need.
And I think his family has kind of said, we loved that part about him, the generous, trusting, open, kind spirit. And we're crushed that this is in part what led to him, his demise.
3 days after Lynn's murder, on January 20th, 2025, Youngblood and Bachholt were seen by investigators in Vermont purchasing aluminum foil at a Walmart around 1 p.m. After returning to their car, they began wrapping what appeared to be phones in the foil. At approximately 3 p.m., Border Patrol agent David Chris Malond initiated an immigration stop on the blue 2015 Toyota Prius on Interstate 91 in Coventry, Vermont, roughly 20 miles from the Canadian border. 3 additional units responded for backup. Youngblood was driving. Bachholt, a German citizen and the car's owner, was the passenger. Her H-1B visa appeared to be expired in a DHS database.
Let's just take a moment and realize this is January 20th, 2025. This is inauguration time when the new regime has taken over. And not only is it a regime that's focused on supporting Border Patrol, funding Border Patrol, protecting law enforcement, this is also, I believe, one day after the executive order that President Trump signed to reinstate executions at the federal level and made it very clear that his preference was anyone that harms a law enforcement official should be given the death penalty federally.
Well, what timing? According to the probable cause affidavit, the stop escalated almost immediately. Without warning, Youngblood allegedly pulled a firearm and shot Agent Malond in the neck. Backup agents responded with gunfire. Bachholt also began shooting, prompting return fire. Bachholt was fatally wounded and died at the scene, while Youngblood was injured and transported to a hospital. Malond died of his injuries at the scene, becoming the first Border Patrol agent killed by gunfire in the line of duty in over a decade. Malond had served in the U.S. military for 9 years and worked as a federal agent for 15 years. His fiancée, Roseanne, described him as a man with
an immense heart, extraordinary charisma, and unwavering integrity.
His family released a statement saying,
"We're deeply touched at the outpouring of love and support for our son, brother, and fiancé. Our grief continues. Please continue to pray for us."
Following the shootout, federal authorities determined that the handgun used to kill Agent Malond had been purchased by someone they identified only as
a person linked to the 2022 murder of Richard and Rita Zajko,
likely referring to Jamie Zajko. Authorities recovered numerous items from Youngblood and Bachholt's vehicle, including a ballistic vest and helmet, night vision goggles, a tactical belt with a holster, 48 rounds of .380 caliber jacketed hollow point ammunition, 2 full-face respirators, handheld two-way radios, a dozen electronic devices, documents related to identity and lodging, and what appeared to be a journal. The journal included cryptic text and LSD-related musings, such as,
"Coming up on acid. Not really sure what to spin this trip on."
And,
"I feel kind of high vibration-y, maybe more so than other LSD trips." Well,
not really sure what to spend this trip on. Maybe is a red flag for me.
I mean, it tells me that you have a lot of them and you choose what, like, well, I'm going to do an LSD trip and go do blank. And it's like, oh no, you're among us at a Walmart wrapping phones in aluminum foil.
Yeah.
Like, Reynolds Wrap appreciates the business, but that's not what it's for. Like,
no, we all know it goes on your head, so the aliens can't get you. Duh, idiots.
You put your phone in a pouch, you put the foil on your head. Get it right. But for real, it's like, this behavior, perhaps it was LSD. I mean, I'm not like solely attributing that to it, but that adds certainly a whole other element that not only are you experimenting on your brain by this sleep deprivation thing and whatever, you're also now adding psychedelics in.
Yeah. And we don't know for sure. I would speculate there's untreated mental health problems as well going on.
And that's the other thing. Exactly. Like, regardless of what issues you may have in your life, if you are on the run, jumping from different state to different state, staying in hotels and Airbnbs and stuff, you do not have a long-term provider relationship, whether it's a psychiatrist, a therapist, whatever, because those are state people and you got to be in the state to get that service. So it's like, whatever maybe you were getting help with, it doesn't sound like it's possible for you to continue to get that help.
Yeah. You're not staying up to date on all your check-ins and meds and stuff if you're running around the country killing people.
No, and it makes me wonder, too, if it's like whatever you should be taking, you start to take LSD instead.
Meanwhile, in North Carolina, the landlord for the properties Youngblood and Bachhold had been renting for months texted a reminder to drip their faucets for the upcoming freeze. After receiving no reply, he entered one of the units and told the Associated Press what he found.
The thing that struck me the most was that there was a stretcher in the living room. The hair on the back of my neck is still up, and I just can't believe it's being connected to my Airbnb.
The stretcher would send chills right on down my spine.
Yeah, there's been several mentions of like used surgical equipment being retrieved from whether it's the cast-off boat or a box truck or this. And it's like, what are you cutting into?
Yeah.
People's brains?
What?
Were we poking around? Like,
we got a flatliner situation happening.
They're just flatlinering this whole time.
The amount of times I reference flatliners, but I mean, I wouldn't put it past them to try and do, poking around, doing self-lobotomies. Who knows what they're doing up there?
I mean, truly, especially if you have somebody who's sort of taken science and then made up extra stuff on top of it and is charismatic enough that people believe you.
On January 23rd in Redding, California, Maximilian Snyder was arrested at approximately 12:40 a.m. in connection with the murder of Curtis Lind. Police linked him to the group who attacked Lind back in 2022, alleging that Snyder killed Lind to prevent his testimony against other Zizians.
And I'm sure, once the officers are like, okay, well, first let's look at everybody that was connected with the first go round, like who was living there. Let's look at their digital communications. And this whole group does nothing but leave digital fingerprints like all over the whole internet. Again, for whatever amount of super geniuses they are all supposed to be, they have left a super duper amount of digital evidence behind. Yeah. And forensic evidence in some cases. They're just leaving whole box trucks full of shit.
As much as they hate AI, they're giving it a lot of ammunition to use with all the shit they're putting online.
I'm like, it's true. You like upload your blog and that's what AI crawls is your blog. So it's like you're feeding it itself. But maybe it's like you're like almost like a trapped rat and you're not even if you are a super genius, you're not using that part of your brain or you cut it out in a Airbnb in North Carolina somewhere.
Yeah. Do you think Maximilian was contacted by people to take care of this, finish it off, maybe from Ziz, or he just decided on his own, like this was the thing to do because of all of their beliefs. Like you've been wronged, so it's up to you to take care of that.
The latter was my initial take on it. Was like, oh, it's like if you see yourself as part of this fight the good fight group and you saw him as a bad person and now not only did he kill your friend Emma and also shot your other friend and caused that friend and another one to go to jail, even though it was their actions. But if from his perspective, you were like, oh, I've got to make this right. Like he abused us, so I've got to make it right. I didn't ever see where Snyder lived on premises, that it seemed that he came to the group a little bit later because of the Washington State connection. So that's what also got me confused of why would you weren't involved in this initial skirmish. Why did you go off to finish the job other than rationally?
Clout. Yeah.
Or show how dedicated you are, or also like, well, they would never suspect me because I didn't live there initially. Like I'm but the authorities have mentioned that he was in close contact with, Zajko too. So it's like, well, you're talking to her so they can see your text, buddy, or whatever, however you're talking to this person.
Across the country, the woman who Snyder formally obtained a marriage license with, Teresa Youngblood, was formally charged with using a deadly weapon in the assault on Border Patrol Agent Milan, and a separate count for discharging a firearm during that assault. She pleaded not guilty to multiple charges and remains in federal custody. I mean, I guess you got to plead not guilty, but there's got to be body cam footage, I would imagine. Dash cam footage.
Thinking. Especially given the amount of response, because it said multiple officers responded. So you're going to have multiple car dash cams and body cams. Plus, we don't know what they had going on, if they were recording, filming, audio, whatever. But it was a red flag to me that she was charged so lightly, which tells me there's an incoming superseding indictment. They're like, all we can definitively charge you is there was a Border Patrol agent at your car and a gun from within your car went off. So we know that, like, we can at least have probable cause to charge that. But until we do the forensics and figure how did Milan die, exactly how, what type of bullet. So even though you're getting these like light charges at first, like, hold on to your ass, because they're probably going to also, Emma Borhanian style, you didn't shoot Ophelia, but you're going to get charged with Ophelia's murder because you shot somebody that caused the cops to shoot that killed her. So it's like, these are the light charges. Sinisterhood will be right back. I'll tell you what, I can't take anything in my life that pinch, pokes, scratches, itches, digs into me. It's miserable. And that's why literally right now as we record this, I'm wearing one of my favorite Fits Everybody crossover bralettes from Skims because I forget that I'm wearing it and I can just relax and record.
That's how I feel about the boy shorts. I have several pairs, the cotton lace ones, which are super cute, kind of sexy vibe, and the Fits Everybody boy short. A lot of times with boy shorts, I feel like they still ride up my cheeks.
Yes.
And that's not fun because then, like you said, you're picking and pulling and stuff. These don't. They stay in place and they are such buttery, soft fabric that you literally forget you're wearing them.
Absolutely. And I like them too. I love the Fits Everybody boy shorts. As the lightweight cotton lace ones are nice too, but the Fits Everybody, they stretch with your body. But I feel like sometimes with stretchy, buttery, soft material, it gets all like baggy. And then by the end of the day, I'm like, cool, I have 2 pairs of shorts on and it's uncomfortable. But with those, I feel like all day long, never lets me down, just like stays in place. And again, so comfortable that I'm like, have I forgotten something?
Right? And no lines because the material is like, just like a second soft skin. So yeah, you don't have to worry about unsightly lines and stuff like that. Shop our favorite bras and underwear at skims.com. After you place your order, be sure to let them know we sent you. Select podcast in the survey and be sure to select our show in the drop-down menu that follows.
Sinisterhood will be right back.
The Vermont shootout seemingly initiated a multi-state law enforcement crackdown. On February 5th, 2025, the FBI searched a property in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, believed to have housed Zizian group members. No one was there, so no arrests were made. 11 days later, on February 16th, Maryland State Police responded after a homeowner in Maryland, near the West Virginia border, discovered 2 box trucks parked at the edge of his property.
During this time, if there's a box truck outside your house, fucking call it in.
Dude,
these
my
folks
stomach would have sank. I mean, you've got to know what's going on. It's in your neck of the woods. Apparently, also, thank you to the listener that sent this in, Chapel Hill has a lot of tech stuff too. So that may have been why they moved there.
Good point. Because I remember when we were doing our Raleigh show, somebody had mentioned like a nearby area, but I couldn't recall where it was, where like Apple had built a place there. So it kind of became like the East Coast Silicon Valley. Interesting.
The truck's occupants, Ziz Lasota, Jamie Zajko, and Daniel Blank, were dressed in all black and armed. They had previously asked the landowner whether they could camp in a box truck on his property for a month. He said no and called police when they refused to leave. Maryland State Police arrived, and the trio was arrested without incident. In the truck, officers found a military-grade .50 caliber sniper rifle, body armor, and another of the handguns from the batch Zajko had purchased a year earlier in Vermont. Charges against them included trespassing, obstructing law enforcement, and weapons possession. They refused to speak with law enforcement. Zajko even tried giving a fake name before they were identified by federal agents. Bitch, come on. You don't get to keep running. Like, it's up. The grip's up at this point.
And they were smart to fuck around with state agencies because they don't often like share information. But once the federal agents show up, like they know who they're coming after. And we'll get to it, but some writings from the group led me to believe that they were a bit naive about the entire criminal justice system, law enforcement, how it worked. Like, at any point, they could have just, and to be fair, I'm a lawyer, so I am smarter than them when it comes to this stuff. But I'm like, I feel like most just like average street savvy people would know not to do some of the things that they're doing, including dress up in a costume that you look like a mass shooter and check into a hotel. Like, ask somebody if you could stay on their land, and when they say no, you park there anyway. Like, what the fuck?
No.
What are you doing?
I liken it to arrogance and mental health illness / drug use.
or like just bad choice making because you're like so hyped up or whatever. But the other thing is Jamie Zajko's mugshot from this arrest. They were like, I'm gonna take one out of the Ziz playbook. So whereas before a mugshot might have been like staring straight on, this one she completely rolled her eyes back in the back, like all the way up to where it's whites only. I can't even do it. It like hurts.
I hate it. Yeah.
But the white part of the balls
get stuck. Don't do it.
Dude, my balls are hurting. So
it'll give you a headache. Don't do it.
But completely rolled back and then kind of like mouth open looking and head shaved. So maybe trying to change like disguise versus because the person of interest photo of Zajko was like kind of frizzy, longer, maybe like 4 inches long hair, kind of frizzed out. And by the time the Maryland arrest, it was buzzed off. So perhaps like trying to evade being caught. But for whatever reason, that mugshot pissed me off.
Yeah, no, just hearing about it pisses me off. Are you allowed to do that? Like, don't they I mean, I guess you can't make somebody do something.
No. I
like
mean, the
that,
mugshot's
like open your eyes or something, unless, I mean, they're law enforcement. They have ways of making people do stuff. It seems though, again, probably because they're white. Like, I can't imagine a black person refusing to open their eyes and being catatonic and the police having to hold their head up for a mugshot and not just getting the shit beaten out of them. Same with, I'm rolling my eyes. It's like a petulant child. And that's what pisses me off about them is they're so bratty.
That is what I have gotten from the arguments, which I'm going to save it for a little bit. So what do we think? But the tone of a lot of the correspondence from these folks is entitlement, bratty entitlement. It is like, well, mommy and daddy always gave me these things and you need to give me these things and other things. I think they have legitimate arguments about in the state of our criminal justice system, like put a pin in it for, so what do we think? But in some instances like this, it's like, I'm going to do this. And I'm like, it's not going to help you. On the other hand, I wondered, well, did you roll your eyes back because you think that it's going to take a picture of your retinas and then you'll be able to be like scanned or something? Like, surely not. I don't think that she is that like delusional and off. I do think it was more of a like either defiance or perhaps thinking that it wouldn't recognize you, but like there's already pictures of your eyes. Dude, you have a driver's license. Like
I was thinking
they have your face. That's what Real ID is. They have all of our faces. It's too late.
I was thinking if the mugshot didn't look like her, she was thinking, oh, well, if I escape and this is the mugshot they're using, then I won't be recognizable. It also could be a temper tantrum response.
Yeah. I'm like, dude, there's more than this picture of you. Like they will make several pictures if you try to run off. So I'm not sure. I'm interested difficult. To hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be. Or maybe the photographer said something like a really bad dad joke right before they hit it. And she was like, oh brother.
My gosh. And he just snapped right then.
No.
At a pretrial hearing in Vallejo in April of 2025, 81-year-old Patrick McMillan gave emotional testimony about the November 2022 samurai sword attack on his best friend, Curtis Lind. As McMillan had suffered 8 strokes and 9 heart attacks, he was testifying before the trial began under conditional examination. This scenario allows the court to collect evidence from witnesses who may not be available for a later trial.
Low-key, if I was this guy too and the prosecutors, I would be like, get them in now in case they kill another witness.
Yeah. Or he dies on his own, 8 strokes and 9 heart attacks. Perhaps a lot of that was from what he witnessed and the stress he suffered.
Dude, some kind of stress for sure. I believe Curtis Lind did sworn on camera testimony before he was murdered as well. So there's at least, the state is at least gathering admissible evidence against the assailants.
In his testimony, McMillan described a harrowing scene. He recalled hearing Lind scream,
"They're going to kill me."
And
"I've got knives in me."
When McMillan opened his door, he saw Lind with a samurai sword impaled through his chest, having entered from his back. McMillan also described Lind's gruesome head wound. He called 911 multiple times with recordings of his frantic calls played in court, including one where he said Lind had been
beaten up
and another confirming he had been stabbed.
Oh, I'm sure you're in the fucking absolute, like, complete chaos in your brain because your best friend knocks on the door and is this condition.
This is wild. Yeah. I mean, like, you'd be like, what apocalyptic scene happened while I was just in here watching TV. I came out to like a horror film.
For real. And it's like, what do I even say? Like, I think they beat him. But he's like moaning and groaning like, please don't die. Also, how do I even do chest compressions on you when you have a fucking samurai sword sticking 1 foot out of your chest? Yeah, I don't think you do either.
I think you're not supposed to remove knives and things like that because you could injure them more doing that.
Mm-hmm. Can make it worse depending. I think it's a doctor removal situation. At the very least, an EMT.
McMillan did not witness the attack itself, but encountered Lind immediately afterward. His memory issues, stemming from his medical history, are expected to be a key issue in the case. Cameras were not allowed in the courtroom, but McMillan left in a wheelchair pushed by his nurse. Defendant Lethem, who was present in court, was removed after an outburst and watched the proceedings from another room. Dow appeared via Zoom. The trial is set to begin October 21st, 2025.
So far, Dow has been two things about Dow. One, nobody really knows Dow's real name. Surrey Dow is the name that they've given, the name that their attorney uses. When asked, their attorney said, I know my client as Surrey Dow. To be fair, trans people often undergo name changes as they should. I've participated in many in Texas myself, name, gender marker corrections. You want the documents to match the person. But I don't believe there's any indication of what this person's life was like previously. There's a little bit here and there, maybe participated in a spelling bee. Like it's one of those where there's like just scraps. But for all intents and purposes, Dow has been just like, yes sir, no sir, yes ma'am, no ma'am, like quiet. Lethem is not doing so hot, which we'll get to. But at this point, Lethem screamed out. And I believe the judge was like, well, Miss Lethem cannot maintain her composure. So she's going to have to go to another room.
Would she scream out?
Just I could look it up, but it's a lot of like this is unfair proceedings.
Yeah.
A lot of issues with her treatment as well, which we'll get to. So it's just that kind of no regard that there was any kind of a victim going on here.
Yeah.
But more so me, and I need to get the food that I'm looking to get.
Lota remains held without bail in Maryland. The judge said release was
simply not an option.
And cited her history of evading court, including active bench warrants in California and Pennsylvania. In addition to the February 2025 charges of trespass, hindering, and weapons possession, Lota was additionally charged in June of 2025 with narcotic possession with intent to distribute, drug trafficking using a firearm, and possession of a controlled substance, not marijuana. She now faces a total of 12 charges in Maryland. Lota faces obstruction charges in Pennsylvania for helping Jamie Zajko evade detection in connection with the 2022 double homicide. She also faces a federal charge of being an armed fugitive. Although she has not been charged directly with any of the murders, investigators continue to scrutinize Lota's role as the group's ideological leader and potential instigator of violence.
It's like when you do shit, you just do not know what laws you might be breaking. And it's like, well, we just put a bunch of LSD in our box trucks from California and drove it to North Carolina. And then from North Carolina, we drove it up to Maryland. And you had narcotics with you. You had LSD in the
So that's called drug trafficking, dum-dums.
And you also had like a big-ass 50 cal submachine gun or whatever in the car, which, I mean, it just is optically, it's not a good look. But also it's like... Perhaps they were doing that. They had the LSD for their own consumption. But if they also wrote, and when we get to Maryland, you guys can come down from Vermont and meet us and we'll give you some of this LSD. It's like you have intent to distribute based on texts you might have sent and stuff like that. It's like, I think they just did for as smart as everybody supposedly was, they just had no fucking clue how many laws they were breaking at all points.
Yeah, no. And perhaps didn't care. You know, I mean, you could look up any of this. Anybody, you know, it's not like this happened before the internet. This is currently going on. Anybody can Google anything and be like, hey, is it legal for me to do this? I don't think they really cared. I think they are just, we do what we want and fuck everybody else. If we get arrested, we get arrested, but we're going to fight it and still not admit guilt or take any accountability whatsoever.
That's an excellent way to put it. And I think it's the underlying thing is they believe they've been put on this holy mission.
Yes. And that they're being wronged. They're being persecuted.
100%. Sinisterhood will be right back.
This episode is brought to you by IQBAR, our exclusive snack sponsor. IQBAR is the better-for-you, plant protein-based snacks made with brain-boosting nutrients to refuel, nourish, and satisfy hunger without the sugar crash.
IQBAR's plant-based protein bars are made with high-quality ingredients to support both body and brain, and they're completely free from gluten, dairy, soy, GMOs, and artificial sweeteners, making them a clean, natural snack you can feel good about anytime. With 9, and I'm telling you this word because I mean it, delicious flavors. I like every one of their flavors. I've got my favorites, certainly, but every one of these is so good. I ate nearly an entire box of mint chocolate chip on my own. Chocolate sea salt, excellent. Had one of those last night. Good. On my way to your house, I ate a chocolate sea salt IQBAR. Found it in my purse and was like, yeah, baby. Banana nut, toasted coconut chip, lemon blueberry,
I love peanut butter blueberry.
Dude, the lemon blueberry. Peanut butter chip, we can't sleep on that. There's something for every craving.
There's every single flavor legitimately is good. My kids like them. I like them. I told you, I gave them out to my family because they were here when we got the shipment. School is about to start. Can't believe it. Such great things to put in their bags for snacks or for their lunchtime. And also great for me to keep in my bag because I also need snacks quite frequently throughout the day. With over 20,000 5-star reviews and counting, more people than ever are starting their days on the right foot with IQBAR's brain and body boosting bars, hydration mixes, and mushroom coffees.
Yeah, I feel good about eating it. And I feel like if I'm going to eat something in the morning, if I don't have time for breakfast, I don't want it to just be like a Pop-Tart. Yeah. I don't want it to just be like a pastry, like something junky. Like I want something that's like substantive, but
feel
also
good about yourself.
But tastes good because I'm not going to eat it.
It tastes good, yes. Crappy. Also, the hydration mixes, the lemonade and tea. Oh, what are you enjoying right now?
This is a raspberry lemonade I'm currently drinking.
Good. I love that one. I love it.
It's so good. And right now, IQBAR is offering our special podcast listeners 20% off all IQBAR products, plus get free shipping. To get your 20% off, text CREEPY to 64,000. Text CREEPY to 64000.
That's CREEPY to 64,000. Message and data rates may apply. See terms for details.
Sinisterhood will be right back.
Lethem and Dow remain in custody in California. They await trial for their roles in the 2022 sword attack on Curtis Lind and the associated death of Emma Borhanian. They each face potential life imprisonment if convicted. Both Lethem and Dow allege that they've endured severe mistreatment in jail, including medical neglect and transphobic abuse. Lethem's attorney said she received death threats from male prisoners and mocking, derogatory comments from staff, leaving her in constant fear. Dow's lawyers also reported, quote, repeated bigotry from the prosecution itself. In 2024, Lethem filed a handwritten civil rights complaint detailing at least 9 forcible strip searches where officers touched her breasts and genitals, sometimes joking about her gender. She claimed she was housed with men who verbally abused her with transphobic slurs and threatened to kill her. Lethem's family warned her autism and strict veganism were ignored, leading to sleep deprivation, weight loss, and seizures. Dow's condition became life-threatening, with doctors describing them as psychotic, starving, and nearly catatonic. Their hormone therapy was cut off, prompting self-harm and suicidal ideation. These allegations have become a central concern in pretrial filings and may factor into broader civil rights claims surrounding the case.
I don't ever want anybody to be tortured. I don't care what kind of heinous crimes they commit. I think that's what separates us from the people who torture people and commit heinous crimes. So the fact that these two stabbed an old man horrifically and did all this terrible stuff, I still don't think any of these things should be happening to them. I think they should be respected. I think they should be offered all the medical care that they need, including hormone therapy. They absolutely shouldn't be subjected to groping, strip searches, repeated bigotry. So I do hope that all of these things that are happening to them are being documented. And it sounds like their attorneys are listening and taking it very seriously. I think what you have is 2 very young people who do have needs, medical needs, emotional needs. Lethem apparently has pretty severe autism needs that ran just fucking headlong into a system that doesn't fucking care about anybody. And when you have a reasonably privileged life on the outside, you know, wealthier family, opportunities, the food that you want to eat, access to gender affirming care that you want to get. And then it's like, welcome to hell, baby. I mean, this is what average people have, whenever they're locked up for, a joint or whatever, and they spend 20 years in the clink for having like a tiny bit of weed. Meanwhile, you ran an old man through with a samurai sword. So again, I think it's just they're experiencing, and maybe very loudly will be able to fight for the rights of trans people in jail. It's just a shame that Curtis Lynn had to lose use of his eye and be severely, devastatingly attacked for these folks to learn this and to be sharing it with the world.
Yeah. And eventually killed. I mean, they didn't officially kill him, but it all led up to it,
Yeah. And to be fair, Emma Borhanian, I mean, she was all part of it. But it's like, at the end of the day, none of these people are, in my opinion, brains are fully developed. Half of them were like under the age of 25.
And they're doing LSD all the time. Some of them, I mean, I don't know about autism and LSD. I don't know how that works, but if she has severe autism and is unmedicated and isn't receiving therapy, and then you get thrown in jail, that's not a good recipe for anybody.
Yeah. And it's like they already treat people not so great in jails, most jails. But if you are a trans person, I imagine it's way worse. I don't even have to imagine. I can tell you it's way worse, So again, I don't think that we should let them loose, but I think anybody that's in jail should be treated with respect and dignity and get all their needs met, because I think we're better than that as a society.
Yeah. I'm hung up on the word respect. I do agree that their needs should be met. I don't know that you necessarily have to respect them as people. I think we could meet needs, and if this is their name and this is how they identify, you use that. It's just like factual, kind of like remove the emotion from it. To me, respect means like kind of how the judge in the Idaho 4 case was criticized for, I'm not using the killer's name anymore, and I don't remember his inmate ID. But when he told him, you don't have to stand every time you talk to me. I respect that you're trying to be respectful. And then Kaylee and Clovis's father was like, fuck that. He should have to stand and list everybody's name that he killed. Like, he doesn't deserve respect. Like, once you cross a certain line, respect, as I think of it at least, is like treating another human being like with kindness and compassion. Personally, like, I wouldn't treat these people like with kindness and compassion. I would treat them like I had to without hurting them and making sure their needs were met.
Yeah. I'm always like, if it was you, if I treat you how if I was the prisoner, I would want to be treated, just like, you don't want anybody groping you, strip searching you, calling you, like you said.
That's not even respect to me. That's going against the law. I mean, like, treating them as an equal, like sitting down and talking to them like, hey, sorry you're in here, man. What a bummer. Like, I think sometimes you got to have a hard dose of reality when kind of you haven't been given that at all your whole life, and you've kind of been skating through on your parents' wealth. And now there's no one there to save you. And all of a sudden you're like having outbursts in court about how your rights are being taken away from you. Hello, why are you even there? You're there because you stabbed an old man with a samurai sword.
Yeah. I mean, that's a good point, is that there is a necessarily retributive, punitive factor to prison. It's not just like, you've done something bad, well, we're going to take you to this resort. But I think you're right. There does need to be an element of, while your basic standards are met, this is not a resort for your pleasure. And it's not going to be home. It's not home. You know what I mean? It's just not going to be home. And I think there's been a lot of, the food complaints of like, I want to read the ingredients on the back of the margarine that's used in this food because I need to know if it's vegan or not. And it's like, maybe overall you want to advocate for better, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, they may
nutrition, be like dietary needs.
Like we don't want to poison. We don't want everybody, eating like gruel, quite literally gruel. Like again, it's prisoners. They should have reasonably nutritious food.
Absolutely.
Like, you know what I mean? But I don't know that this isn't like a restaurant where you're like getting to be like, I don't really like paprika. Do you think maybe we could? And I get it. If you're vegan, it's like totally, it's like a true whole different thing. But when you commit an act like they allegedly have committed, of course, they're awaiting trial. You're right. You do give up some luxuries, and that is going outside whenever you want or having exactly the type of food. But I think we're all in agreement that, like, at the end of the day, treat them as human beings. Like,
absolutely.
Respect. Yeah.
And perhaps, prisons as a whole, I mean, this is the least of what needs to change in prison. But, for those that do have dietary restrictions, there's like specific menus. Like if a person's vegan, we all know this is approved, so they don't have to worry about it. Or if somebody's allergic to shellfish, like we know that they can't have these things. So it's kind of across the board, and people aren't like receiving special treatment. They are receiving just what they need.
Well, and also it's almost like medieval times where it's like they have the chicken, or the vegetarian meal is also gluten-free and dairy-free. So it's kind of like it's just efficient. It's like more efficient foods here. But yeah, I think they if whatever they're alleging actually happened, California's got a big fucking problem with how they're, and it's not just California. I think across the country, period, we have a problem with how we treat trans people in general. And also I think that those issues become magnified in jail, certainly.
For sure. I guess my issue is anybody who did these crimes and then has the audacity to like have an outburst in court while the person that these crimes were committed against
was slaughtered.
Yeah. And his best friend is there giving harrowing emotional testimony. And then you're like, excuse me, I did not get the vegan meal in prison like I was promised. This isn't the time or the place. And have some self-awareness that like, why are you even there in the first place?
Yeah.
It seems like they're missing that component because of the entitlement, like you said, and the feeling of we're just righting wrongs, so we're not to blame about any of this. It's not even our fault.
Yeah, it's like a strange, like a perspective, like a skewed perspective they've got
sure.
of like this. And I believe Lethem has stated in some of her courtroom outbursts that like what I'm saying and what's happening to me is more important than the rest of these proceedings. I can't remember if Ziz said that or if Lethem said that, to be fair.
I would disagree with that.
But regardless, well, I'm always like, someone's dead. And so you sound kind of heartless.
Yeah.
When you say that.
You do.
So let's be aware of that. So.
Snyder awaits trial in California on charges of first-degree murder and potential witness intimidation related to the January 2025 killing of Curtis Lind. Prosecutors are considering enhanced penalties as murdering a witness to prevent testimony is classified as a, quote, special circumstance under California law and may carry the death penalty.
It's my understanding California doesn't execute people anymore right now, but this conditions are quite different if you're convicted in a death penalty case and stuff. But killing a witness to keep them from testifying is like at the top. It's like killing somebody for money or killing an elected official. They count it more. They're more pissed about that. So don't do that.
They are indeed. Youngblood, age 21, has been indicted by a federal grand jury in Vermont on one count of use of a deadly weapon against an officer of the United States and an additional count of discharging a firearm during a crime of violence stemming from the January shootout. On August 7th, 2025, government prosecutors introduced new evidence regarding Milan's cause of death, confirming it was a gunshot wound to the neck. Prosecutors also filed a report from U.S. Customs and Border Protection that says Youngblood fired the shot that killed him. Additional charges against Youngblood may be forthcoming. Her defense attorneys have asked for more time to review the materials, investigate their claims, and explore non-trial resolutions for the case. She is being held in federal custody. Because a Border Patrol agent died in the line of duty, her prosecution is considered a high priority, and if charged for his death, she could be eligible for execution.
I'm never saying there's ever a right person to kill, but I believe under the Trump administration, killing a Border Patrol agent is like a worst kind. Like it's the type that those in charge see that as a more important person. Yes. You and I may not agree. That's a human being whose life was taken, and that's very sad. But for a very pro-CBP administration, you fucking stepped in it, man. Don't ever shoot anybody. Don't shoot any cops. Don't shoot anybody. But to shoot a CBP officer in a fascist regime that has made it clear that they favor that, it's like explore non-trial resolutions for the case. Shit in one hand.
Yeah, that ain't happening.
Wish in the other. You know what I mean? I was like, and especially given the administration's very clear anti-trans stance, I think every one of these cases is an opportunity as much as possible, if not for the state, those that are prosecuting the cases at the state level, the feds to come in and be like, this Trantifa account, which I saw on some right-wing pages. So it's like they're foaming at the mouth.
Oh, what
it's
a fun
trans Antifa.
Yeah, that's a fun portmanteau they've come up with. Good for them.
Know?
No, you're right though. It's they couldn't have fucked up more with as far as poking the beehive.
For sure. You're 21. This is your first offense that I can tell. And it's like the worst federal crime that they're probably going to execute you quickly for.
Make an example out of you.
Certainly. It's the first BP officer that's been killed in 10 years or whatever. So it's like.
And by a group of people that are predominantly trans. So
they're not.
Does not sound like it's going to go well.
Yeah. For somebody, it's her being 21 as well. I'm like, and for some people, the families are like, they got brainwashed. They weren't into this. Like a life is still taken and she has to pay the consequences for that. But goddamn, what a first offense.
Yes.
Goddamn.
Gwen Danielson, once a central member of the Zizian group, has become a ghost figure in the case, though she is still carrying an active warrant. She was arrested alongside Lota and others during the 2019 protest, but by 2022, her lawyer was reporting that Gwen had
apparently died by suicide.
That report turned out to be false. In November of 2022, Gwen was last seen at the Vallejo trailer yard where Curtis Lind was later killed, allegedly cutting locks and placing a hatchet in a duffel bag before disappearing. Though she was not charged in that incident, she has remained in hiding since. Her father confirmed in 2024 that Gwen is alive, using an alias, and working off-the-grid construction jobs out of fear of retaliation from remaining Zizians. She has reportedly cut ties with the group, and supporters hope that with Lota now in custody, Gwen may feel safe enough to come forward and resolve her outstanding 2019 charges.
Honestly, lay low is the best thing to do right now, because the only thing you're charged with is like obstruction and a couple of small things in the California issue, and that I think is going to be put on hold because Ziz and everybody else is arrested on like way bigger crimes. So Gwen's about the smartest person in this to like participate in the protest with the robes, and then was like, oh, shit is getting fucking real. Bye.
This is too much. It sounds like they may have support from their family too that's kind of helping them stay off the grid, which is good because all of the families have been concerned for they're their children, even though they're adults, because it was so against, anything that they would have expected them to be capable of.
And in some cases, like Teresa's family's like, she just cleaned her room out and left. And then texted us, by the way, I changed my number, bye. Like, I'm sure for multiple of these families, it was heart-wrenching. And then the next time you see their face, it's like, oh, she's going to be executed federally. Fucking great. And
you're just going through everything in her room you can find to piece together, like, how did this even happen? How did they get here? Because if so much of it is done online, the families, just like with a lot of cults we've seen, they don't even know what's going on a lot of the times.
No, and Teresa's family's like, she just like, we thought it was an abusive relationship. Like it was, you hear nothing about it and then suddenly they're gone.
Daniel Blank was charged in the 2025 Maryland arrest with trespassing, hindering, and firearms possession. In June, he received the same additional drug-related charges as Lota and Zajko, bringing his total to 15. His family has stated publicly that they believe he was corrupted by the Zizians' influence. They claimed he has been manipulated into cutting off contact with relatives and drawn into a world of radical beliefs and militant behavior. This mirrored similar concerns raised by other families and reinforced prosecutors' characterizations of the group as a cult-like extremist cell. Blank's case is pending. Although Jamie Zajko has not been charged in the 2022 murder of her parents, authorities continue to consider her a person of interest. She currently faces weapons and obstruction charges stemming from her arrest in Maryland this past February. Like Lota, she received additional drug charges in Maryland in June, bringing her total charges to 17. The legal outcome for her Maryland charges is pending. Additional charges in Pennsylvania connected to her parents' murders remain possible. She's also been charged federally for providing the weapons that Youngblood and Bachholt used in the killing of Agent Malond. On March 9th, 2025, Zajko authored a 20-page handwritten open letter to the world from the Allegheny County Detention Center. In the letter, made public in mid-April, they denied killing their parents and sought to challenge the false media narratives about them and their associates.
So I read the whole thing.
Ooh.
Paris came up and talked to me, and I said, every time I get interrupted in a paragraph, I got to go all the way to the start of the paragraph, and the paragraphs are like a page long. So it's a Henry James stream of consciousness situation. I will say, I noticed several things. First of all, the quote that got me was, quote, "I've been unable to read the news while in jail. The little news I've gotten was enough to determine that my friends and I are being described as like Satan's lapdogs, the devil and the Manson family all rolled into one."
I've referred to them as the Mansons in the last episode.
They're listening to the podcast. But here's where the Zajko letter explains what the fuck has happened. This cracked it open for me. So the allegation is that there are two groups at issue here. That Ziz, Jamie, I had to make a list. Ziz, Jamie, Emma, who is now dead, Ophelia, who is now dead, Teresa, who is in the federal custody, and Lethem in California are on the good side. They were like friends. They were good. Michelle's letter is a lot, or Jamie Zajko's letter is a lot. It details from memory, because this was handwritten without use of the internet, not only allegations against people in the rationalist community, but then how it was documented, or how it has been documented on websites, including she can remember people's website handles. It was quite impressive. But the whole deal is, and this is not me saying this is Zajko's allegation, Eliezer Yudkowsky and a man named Vassar, who was a CEO, have been having sexual relations with underage minors, teen girls, in the 14 to 16-year-old range. And they use rationalism to, shouldn't shock you, rationalize it. And when Ziz found out and told folks about it, Emma and others, apparently Jamie and Emma were friends first, and then that's how they dated the same person. It also gets into a lot of interpersonal drama. It's like when my 8-year-old niece tries to tell me about who likes who in school. I was I can't keep up. But the yada yada is that Ziz and the Goods were all trying to report on the ongoing systemic sexual abuse that happens within the rationalist community. On top of that, they each were victims of abuse from various people. Ziz from a person, all the bad stuff you've ever read on the internet about Ziz. Zajko has said it comes from this one source who at once was hated Ziz, but also sexually attracted to her. Can't work that one out, but who hasn't want to hate fuck? And then, so Zajko got involved with Ziz, and then where it sort of falls apart with me, because I was a little bit on board with it. I was like, oh God, baby, there is sexual abuse going on in the rationalist community. I wouldn't know, I'm not around. But it started to get into this kind of conspiracy where Zajko's allegation is that Curtis Lind and Suri Dow conspired to kill Emma Borhanian and attack Lethem, who Michelle used a different name. Zajko used a different name for Lethem. So the people that were involved in the initial Curtis Lind attack, according to Zajko, it was Curtis Lind owed $50,000 on his property and thought he was going to steal all their expensive old busted out box trucks and solar panels, which Zajko was like, it's worth $100,000. So Curtis Lind was going to steal their property, but before he could steal their property, they fought back. He, the menace that he was, killed Emma Borhanian, attacked Lethem. Suri Dow, it turns out, despite, I believe, being non-binary, hates trans women. So that's why Suri and Curtis Lind killed Emma Borhanian, a trans woman, and attacked Lethem, a trans woman. Patrick McMillan
Oh my God.
The neighbors.
I need to get a whiteboard out and some string.
I feel like Charlie. It's about to get wilder too.
But
so Patrick,
just to clarify, one thing that I think might be confusing is Jamie and Michelle are the same person.
Are the same person.
Okay,
I apologize.
so maybe Zajko is the best way to refer to them.
That's why I kept trying to go back to say Zajko. So Zajko also says Patrick McMillan, who we just said testified and was the one that helped the samurai sword victim.
Yes.
Turns out is an ex-CIA agent, according to Zajko.
According to Zajko. Okay.
According to Zajko, she said he claimed to have been one on the stand. So maybe during his testimony, he said he was an ex-CIA. I didn't see that reported. And that Patrick McMillan was helping Curtis Lind frame all the Zizians for his attack. Like, that's why he was like...
These two 80-year-old men?
Yes, they were like, you know what we should do is steal all the box trucks with the wheels falling off.
All these young people walking around in their black robes with their guns.
So that's how they've all been wronged. Was like, it all started with Yudkowsky and whoever was his helper at the Rationalist, and they don't believe in age of consent because it's irrational to them. If somebody wants to have sex with them, they should just have sex. That's insane.
That's not how it works.
Sounds like the type of thing pedophile would say.
Yeah.
Sounds like you want to be a member of NAMBLA. And no. So that's why that all went down. Separate from that, Zajko clarified. Max Snyder, who went back later and killed Curtis Lind, Max Snyder is not a good one. Much like Dow, not one of us. According to Zajko's letter, the connection between Teresa Youngblood and Max Snyder, because we said they got a marriage license and then they didn't get married. What happened? This may be true. And if it is, it's very sad. According to Zajko, Snyder was very abusive to Youngblood, including threatening her with the shotgun, assaulting her physically, sexually, other ways. This is Zajko's allegation. To get away from him, that's why Teresa Youngblood fled Washington State and ended up from Washington State all of a sudden in North Carolina and then all of a sudden in Vermont. Apparently, the Zizians were like a safe place and Snyder was like not one of them. I don't understand, other than the implication was that Teresa Youngblood wasn't responding to his messages. So then Max Snyder on his own went and killed Charles Lind. I do not see how that would benefit
Curtis Lind.
I'm sorry, Curtis Lind. I don't see how that would benefit Teresa Youngblood. She wasn't accused in hurting Curtis Lind. So other than like it helps the Zizians, like I don't know.
Did he think that maybe she was still at the property?
Maybe so. Maybe.
And went back to confront her and then just was like, well, I'm here, so I'm going to take care of this.
Perhaps so. But what also confused me is that authorities said that Max Snyder was in, quote, frequent contact with an unnamed person of interest. So in her parents' killing. So like authorities are saying Max Snyder and Jamie Zajko have been talking to each other. Jamie Zajko says, as of November 2024, he was a abuser. We cut him out. He did this murder on his own. I don't know. So amongst the rest of the stuff in her letter, there's a lot of drama in the Rationalist community.
Sounds
a lot
like
of
it.
Sex. She's also worried and was worried from pretty much the Curtis Lind attack on. They were all worried that somebody in the Rationalist community had like hired an organization because they had all been like speaking out against the sexual abuse online. They all believed that, I don't know if it's Yudkowsky or associates at these organizations. Literally, she wrote in the letter that she believes they hired like PI firms / a literal assassin. The phrase she used, the rumors had me concerned about a literal assassin, which is not as far-fetched as you would think. And then she quotes Ronan Farrow's book, Catch and Kill, in which allegedly Harvey Weinstein...
Don't bring Ronan Farrow into this.
I was like, what did Ronan even do?
Keep his name out of this.
From what I could pull, that is how and then Zajko's allegation is there is no Zizians. Nobody worships Ziz. Everything about the Zizians, the Zizians.info website was created by this JD person who is simultaneously hates Ziz, but also is in love with her and wants to destroy her and all the people that follow her, even though she doesn't have followers. So it becomes
this sounds like something
fan fiction,
or like the administration wrote. Like it's just like nonsense word salad circling.
At some point, I just wrote, "I'm so sorry, but the math is not is not mathing because it would be like this person, literally a quote from the letter. Way too many humans have become totally fixated on Ziz, developing obsessions that have lasted over 6 years, apparently losing interest in hobbies in order to hunt her down. There was a lot of tones of like delusions of grandeur that like they're the Avengers, like they were going to take down these rationalist sex predators, which again, do we know if they're a rationalist sex predator? Probably. There's sex predators everywhere, right? Were they close to taking him down? I don't know, maybe. But the rest of it turns into this like, we're the stars, like we're the dark side, but we're also the like heroes that are fighting. And it's like, the problem is whenever you let your delusions take you out in the real world and you pull a samurai sword or a 50 caliber machine gun out in the real world, then your fantasies get shattered and you just go to jail.
Yeah.
Which is the last half of the letter is detailing the horrific things that she has endured in jail, which I'm not surprised at. Jails are not fun, happy places. And like lack of medical care. And to her credit, 1-2 lines is about her. 6-8 paragraphs is about women that are in prison with her or in jail with her that are being mistreated. She's like, one inmate's got this like gangrene on her leg. This other lady passed out. This person vomited. So she is pointing out
all that.
100%. I said, you and I have got a lot in common in that we think that, people are being abused in the jail system. And she also believes that people are being silenced around predators. There's like too much silence around men in power because Zajko allegedly did all these things, but he's so powerful. Nobody wants to stand up to him. I agree with that.
Nobody has heard of that allegations except for them.
I did as much searching as I could.
I didn't come across any of that. Not to say it isn't true because it's rampant, like you said.
Well, Harvey Weinstein was still making movies and people were like, he definitely is a rapist. So the fact that Zajko like has a book coming out, that does not mean that there are not allegations.
No.
I wasn't able
Neil
to find
Gaiman
God
is a prolific writer. And
it's a fucking Netflix show. Adapted to.
People, it's rampant everywhere. It sounds like a mix of delusional writing peppered with some truths. Mm-hmm. But if you live in a fantasy world, and that's how you even found each other, was through this fanfic, then you kind of create a fantasy world that's just your reality.
At the end of it, I was like, get off of your motherfucking computers. Every one of you should have stepped away from these blogs.
Go touch
Tumblrs.
Some grass, my dudes.
Dude, roll your entire body down a hill of grass naked in the sunshine. Like, get away from this computer because they all got so fixated. And perhaps it is whether we said mental health issues, but it also could just be a neurodivergence. And they were particularly susceptible to perhaps they have enhanced justice alertness, and this is an injustice, and we have to do. So when you have that inability to quite literally like come back down to earth, and you're just being told by somebody as famous as Zajko, the world's gonna fucking end, and you hear that he's like a rapist, you're like, we've got to do something extreme, and like whatever rational belief system got you to think that any of this was a good idea, it is dog shit.
Yeah.
Look at yourselves. Look at your lives. Is this the best, the fighting that you can do? Maybe. We're talking about him. I don't know. But I think you're going to get fucking
look where
shanked.
You're writing your letter from.
That's what I'm like. You're miserable. And I feel bad for you that you're even here. Like every one of you is there because of your own behavior, certainly. But the path that took you there, some of those bricks weren't even put in by you. And you were stumbling over them like the fact that they had long stretches where they were just like online with these other people and having these conversations. And I mean, you feel bad because it sounds like none of them were in like the best spot when they all came across one another. And this is what they've all done with their lives.
Yeah. Which maybe it's just my cynical nature these days, but it's hard for me to feel bad for them because you're also adults that are capable of making your own decisions. And there's a lot of refusing to take accountability, and everyone else is the problem. And I'm the only one that's doing what needs to be done. And I mean, maybe everything they wrote is true. It seems though, even in their own writings, they're contradicting themselves. Like Ziz didn't have followers, but then you said she's like, people were obsessed for 6 years. And it's like, well, then it sounds like she did have followers.
Yeah, that's what I'm like. Well, also some of the allegations just stretch, if not like break the potential of credulity. Like I'm just like this. I was like, I'm gonna go into this and just say this is a letter from a potential new client. Like I was like, I'm gonna read this and pretend perhaps this person is grounded in reality and telling the truth. And I tried to go in with like the most like middle of the road approach, and I was still like, baby, this is not making sense. Like you like, I was trying to be on your side. The one thing she says, if I weren't in jail, I could provide chat logs, screenshots, audio confessions, video footage, tax filings, statements made under oath, and other records. A lot of letters from jail, people say they have all that too.
But also, you can still get that you don't have to get it from jail. Tell your attorneys or whoever to, collect those things.
No, seriously. So I just it ain't no good. It's not going to be good because the current charges you have, and as bad as it is for everybody that's currently incarcerated, it is only going to get worse.
Yeah.
Like they're only going to charge you with more things.
For sure. I think it's hard for me to feel pity for Zajko because I feel like she was part of her parents' murder. And those parents like adopted her, tried to give her such a good life. And then this is how it ends for them. Like stories like that are just heartbreaking. And to hear like, Mom and those things called out, like, was it you there? Was somebody like pretending to be you?
Yeah.
I mean, you probably at the very least knew it was going to happen because you found out you were getting that inheritance. You didn't text back and then you passed that information along to people you knew wanted money and would do whatever they needed to do to get it.
Yeah. And especially given the detail that has been released that the Zajko's bodies were found in her bedroom, in Jamie's former bedroom, so it's like, maybe it is a big frame up job, but I don't know. I can only imagine that the police in Pennsylvania are just continuing to build a case against somebody, some perpetrator. And it's not to say they're not like in a hurry, but it's like, you're not in like a huge hurry. 'Cause like, the person you think did it's in jail and will be. Yeah. So like, take your time, gather your evidence, like still work on it, but don't rush it and fuck up the case. Like gather as much digital forensic evidence as you need. And that's the other thing is I don't think that they're thinking about it, that I'm like, anybody listening, if you're smarter than us on technology, let us know. But like,
I promise you're smarter than me on technology.
I don't think wrapping a phone in tinfoil will 100% block every part of it. Maybe it does, but like you will be tracked. Like they're so trackable. Like every move they made, however homegrown witness protection they thought they were, they're too online. They're too online to disconnect.
And none of them disconnected like they think they are.
They're like, we're going to be off the grid. I'm like, you can't have a tumbler and be off the grid.
No.
Like you're on the grid, man. The grid is on you.
Tumble off that grid, baby.
So I don't know. It was hard to believe, but I do think that she's got her version out there. So if there is sex predation going on in the rationalist community, we should also
absolutely
investigate that. She pointed out Jeffrey Epstein had donated to one of these organizations. She also pointed out there's a Peter Thiel connection. So
I don't disbelieve any of that.
Right. I was going to say that part. I was like, well, 100% right about, she also wrote several paragraphs about how prosecutors will charge you with like way more things than they can prove so that you'll plead down. So then they get like a 99% conviction rate. I agree with all that. Like a lot of the stuff I was like, yes, absolutely. Yeah, get on it. But the other stuff is like, oh no, this strains the bounds, but maybe it's all true. Who knows?
Well, regardless, her parents were killed in a horrible fashion. So,
she didn't mention at all. Like, I wish I knew who killed my parents. I will crusade until I find out. She just said, I didn't kill them. Do you want to hear about how the rationalists are raping everybody? And I was like, well, we kind of want to hear.
I didn't kill them, but I was there in my bedroom and called out for my mom. And when they walked into the room, the people I brought into my house killed them.
Perhaps. Yeah. It's like, that's technically not a lie to say I didn't kill my, I didn't have anything to do with their death. Like, all right, well, that's your allegation, that's your claim, but it does not mean that you can't still get charged.
Yeah. Speaking of, thank you to everybody who let me know the case I was trying to think of last time, the Jan Zoring case, where he brutally stabbed and killed his girlfriend's parents. I believe she may have also been involved. I can't remember entirely the story, but it reminds me a lot of this, where like it's people and it's people the parents knew and would maybe, if they didn't even like would invite into their house because they knew who they were, and then they're ambushed.
Yeah. And those type of situations are always so heart-wrenching when it's like, oh, our daughters finally come home,
that is how that other case was too. Yeah, it is. And then you're like, oh, they came home not for the reason I was hoping.
Not at all.
Yeah. The 2019 protest case involving Lota and others was disrupted by her fake death, but could still proceed. The Maryland case is expected to go to trial in August of 2025, and the defendants have asked for a joint trial. That motion has been granted. Meanwhile, federal authorities continue to review the Zizians' coordinated activities across state lines. Prosecutors are reportedly weighing additional charges under racketeering, or RICO, or domestic terrorism statutes, citing the organized and ideological nature of the violence. If approved, these charges could mean more member arrests and additional charges for those already in custody. So what do we think?
I would say ask the Juggalos what it's like when the federal government just decides you're a gang, and like what happens to you then. So right now,
and they're nicer than these people.
They're awesome. They didn't do any of this shit, and they don't believe any of this shit. In fact, they're wonderfully curious. Magnets, how do they work? We still don't know.
And way better costumes.
Yeah, exactly. Get some fucking grease paint out. What are y'all doing with your robes on? But I would keep my eyes peeled for potential charges against Michelle Jamie Zajko for the death of her parents, Michelle Jamie Zajko for role in Ophelia Buckholt's shooting by providing the weapon. I don't know how tenuous of a connection you'd have to make. Charges against Jamie Zajko or Ziz for the same, because if they decide, oh, this is a criminal organization that you ran or the two of you ran together or whatever, then that's when they start to pin. You're like, I wasn't even in that state. Doesn't matter. They're going to start pinning that extra stuff on you too. And she wrote in her letter like, oh, they're do all these extra charges so you plead down. I'm like, and you only have 17 right now.
Yeah.
Like the federal government is mad at you, very mad, and generally does not like you and your friends at all just for existing as you are, not to mention the activities you've done.
No.
So you've already got a disadvantage.
You could have been great people and they're still not going to like you. And now you've given a lot of reason for them to come after you, guns blazing. And I think
100%.
Youngblood too, I think is going to face a world of hurt when this trial comes around. Especially
as of we're recording this like a couple days ago, they came out and said it was her shot that killed him, and she hasn't even been charged for his like murder yet, and he's a federal agent, and plus tack on Ophelia Buckholt's murder too, and it's not looking good for any of them. They all seem to have attorneys representing them, so hopefully they will get fair proceedings. I'm not saying let anybody out, but I'd also, you hate to see somebody get something extra just for who they are. So I hope none of them are currently being abused, although I think that's probably unlikely. I think.
Yeah. Well, what I was going to say is I really, really hope, because while they all did terrible things, yes, they should not receive abuse in prison and be made to be an example. And that's kind of what I'm worried about with the current administration is, see, all of the trans people are out there killing our border agents and killing old men. And then that would really suck.
It's not, like I said, it's already not easy to be a trans person in the United States. I mean, just in the world in general, but specifically the United States, specifically under this regime. And I would hate to see in the way that, when you your brain gets fucked up when you go to law school. It makes you know too much. So when he very first got elected and was like, oh, we have an invasion at our border and it's an invasion, I was like, oh, he's saying that so that he can enact the Alien Enemies Act and so then he can militarize the government against us. Like, that's like the federal troops again. Like in your brain, you're saying that. And I'm like, the second we hear him start saying these trans radical leftists, and they're all part of Antifa, by the way. Yeah. They're not. I mean, that I've seen
it's
it all.
Dog whistle language.
Well, and then he goes, well, that sounds like we're all being invaded by Antifa. It sounds like Antifa is a terrorist organization. If we find anything related to any, you share an ally thing. You're not even trans or non-binary. You share something because you like, my favorite's like, if you fuck with my trans homies, I'm going to identify as a problem. And that's how I feel. And well, now I'm part of Antifa too. I'm not even trans, but I'm part of it too. Mm-hmm. So it's like, that's what you hate to see, like individuals who are trans, who have done crimes, allegedly, then be used as an entree to go, well, actually, it's probable cause to pull you over because you might be a Zizian because you're trans. It's like, I hadn't even heard of this bitch.
Yeah, yeah. Or just, it adds a whole other layer of being trans and the problems that you face and persecution and assumptions and none of it all sucks, especially given the times.
Yeah, no joke. So I'll say we'll keep an eye on all these cases definitely. And see. I think the one in Maryland, they keep adding charges, which then will delay it. So until all the charges are they're done, until the prosecutors are done adding shit, and I don't think that the feds are done adding shit yet. So we'll keep our eyes peeled for that.
We will. Updates aplenty on this one, I imagine, especially if they allow cameras in the court for the trials.
Yeah.
As always, the devil rules the airwaves.
Keep it creepy.
This episode of Sinisterhood is made possible with the help of our amazing patrons.
If you're interested in supporting the show, consider joining our Patreon. You'll get access to ad-free regular episodes, weekly bonus content, you're able to vote on episode topics, join our monthly live streams, and more.
Keep it creepy.
Mwahaha.